Order, I need a motion on the agenda.
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Need approval of the April 2nd minutes.
So move.
Moved and
Second.
seconded. All in favor? Now we're gonna have elections. All in favor by
Aye.
have elections of officers. First one will take nominations for the chairman.
I'll nominate Steve Warndall.
Steve Warndall is
I don't think.
nominated. There's no need for a second. That's it?
I just said that.
Okay. We need any, all in favor of,
I make notion of nomination be closed then.
motion made to close the nomination and cast a ballot unanimously. All in favor?
Aye.
I oppose, same sign. Vice President. Oh, you take over now. I'm sorry. I want to take your job.
Nominations for vice chair. John Bonaprise. Any other nominations? I can't say that. Any other nominations?
You don't have to.
Okay, all right. All those in favor of John Bonaprise as vice chair? Opposed? We have a vice chair. Public comment. Any public comment? Hearing none, I don't see any other board members here. Fair Society update. I see we have representatives from the fair here. If you guys want to speak, you can.
An update, the fairgrounds opened up on April 13th. The winter storage came out and it was, then the fairgrounds was ready. Janice worked with the correctional inmates to get things cleaned up, sticks picked up, bathrooms cleaned. The dog project had a kickoff and a cleanup on April 21st. Then Feed My Starving Children utilized the fairgrounds. There were 652 volunteers that packed 16 pallets worth of food, which was 124,416 meals that feeds 350 kids for a year. And then on Wednesday, May 1st, Career Day utilized the fairgrounds. That brought in 725 kids from throughout Polk County, and 25 local vendors were there participating with these kids in local food trucks. So those were all things that have used the fairgrounds so far since it opened up. The dog project is practicing their weather available. There's been the the sheep and goat weigh-in, and also horse project is hoping to kick off as soon as possible, weather permitting. And then I did forward on the one bid I received from Metro Light and Sound last week, and that is the one bid we have so far on the emergency sound system. That is going to be a county project. There was CIP money rolled over from last year for that. And we're just waiting to see what you want us to do, next steps. If we want to meet with that individual there, he is willing to provide more information and meet with whomever. And then if you want us to work on getting a second bid.
Any questions?
Any news on the Grand Trend?
They have on the PA system, I think that bid came in around 35,000.
Yes, and they did, and that's 3180 for tax, which if we provide them with the correct tax exempt information, that would come off. So 32, and did you have 28 budgeted? Is that?
It's 28 or 26 got rolled over.
Okay.
The PA system.
And then also, I don't, the mounting brackets, he wanted us to work with him to secure that also. So this is one bid. I'm assuming you want us to secure a second one.
Yes, please.
So we will try to get that as soon as possible. And then if you want, I mean, this gentleman is willing to meet or work with any of us, to provide more information.
Where's he from? Where's the company from?
It is Metro Sound and Light based out of St. Paul. He does travel through this area. He has a place in Lindstrom. I had him stop and look at the fairgrounds last January before we got any snow. And he has, this company did work with putting in sound at the Elmalung tractor pull area. I know that. So,
What we could do too, Carrie, is, if you can get Rod a list of the parameters on what you asked that guy to provide for you. We'll put it on our public purchase, to go out for bids to see if any other vendors.
other
come
ones
forward.
want, so it was, okay.
It can be very, very simple of just what the parameters were that you asked.
So just write some, yeah, basically sound that would, to be used for emergency broadcast. Not like you're going to be making all kinds of announcements or playing music, but it's an emergency service broadcast system that would be utilized to get to all the areas of the fairgrounds. So,
Yeah, we just need to know some of the details from him, and maybe that's questions for him, but
okay. And then I also provided him with a map too, he utilized that to make some of this.
Yep.
yeah, just so when we put it out for bid that we're comparing apples to apples.
And we can put that map on there too, and that way, maybe no one will bid on the website, but at
Okay.
least we're covered that way for.
So
purchase.
basically write something simple up what, I don't know.
Yeah, what you had him. bid.
Acreage of the fairgrounds, I guess we would need, and then the map.
Yeah, is it one station that,
His bid process was going to have it be one based more centrally in the 4-H building location and to broadcast from there. There gets to be problems with the more wires you have, the more equipment you have outside, things just start to break down. And so that's how he bid this one, was being broadcast from one spot.
it's all wireless?
Yes, just yeah,
From his.
from the one location,
Out.
yes.
Yeah,
I
just that
think
kind of stuff.
there would have been maybe one other post out from the main location, but he figured that's it just gets to be, there gets to be more issues, the more poles, the more wires, the more speakers.
That will be that way we'll just be covered on the purchasing policy
Okay,
that way, and we may not get any bids on it.
okay, all right. But I do have another contact that we had do some of the bids for in the buildings to try to get a second bid for comparison.
Any grandstand news?
Right now, Cedar Core, has emailed back just asking those last questions again. I don't know if you've gotten back to Troy yet on those questions.
Wasn't able to meet due to the weather, all the rain, but we're trying to get some of the people that are running that area, trying to get them in to kind of look at this entire project.
Okay. Any time frame you think you get back to
I hope
Troy?
by next week.
So, yeah, the Fair Board did discuss it, but there's so many other people involved in that area. We want to bring as many people in as possible to have everybody weigh in and give their opinion. And then is there a time schedule for that roof?
It's supposed to be in the next couple weeks, but he needs a couple dry days
Okay,
before. And I also forwarded him the fair schedule.
okay.
So I don't know if there's been any updates to that since
See, just horse, and I just updated it again for some of our insurance, so I can try to forward you on the most updated one. Nothing that utilizes that block of buildings, the barns or the 4-H building there, it would be like horse arena usage. So,
Okay, yeah, so the last correspondence I had with him was last week, and he was trying to get a couple days in a row where it was dry, where he could get in there. So I'm waiting as well.
Yeah, the reason I put I want to see the fair on every meeting, okay? If we can have this dialogue, so we keep the communication open on these projects. So, now if you give him your bid and a map, then they should be able to do their part.
Yep.
So we can keep projects moving all the time. And it's also an opportunity for the representative to speak if they have anything. And, being we have on our agenda every month, don't feel obligated to have to come if you don't have anything substantial for us. I mean, it's just gonna be a standard item on the agenda.
Okay.
So,
And Chad did, he was able to get the work order to go through. So that was good. So if you have any issues, the work order system is working
Okay,
through our fresh service, so.
okay. And yeah, just, and I just wanted the representatives to know that these two events, the big events that took place, they're not events we charge for. They're huge community service things. So the fairground is utilized to the benefit of the community. And we, the Fair Society members, just work on help getting it ready. But this is a huge outreach. So it's giving back to the people of the community. So
You have a copy of those events that you hosted this year so far? That you just proposed or explained to us.
yeah, I do not have that all written up. I mean, I have my notes and now we're going to partner with Polk County for an event in July too. So,
That'd be nice for the whole county board to understand.
okay, so you want me to like summarize this into a report
If
and,
you would and get it to the clerk, I'd appreciate it.
okay.
you had an Easter egg hunt too, right?
Yes, that was the first thing and I forgot that one. Sorry.
One procedural question. When you run your meetings, is it by Robert's rules? Is that in your,
That's what we try to do. Yeah.
okay. Any other questions for the fair?
Just a comment. Like your suggestion that they come every month.
Well, if they don't really have anything,
I understand that, but I'm just saying.
they don't have to, I just want it on there so that we make sure our dialogue and our communication stays open on all this stuff. I hadn't heard that they'd looked at the roof yet, or, I want everybody to stay up on everything that's happening down there.
Well,
So-
the nice thing about that, Mr. Chair, is, we got 15 districts and there's questions from different people, in different districts. So at least we can have some comment as long as it's on the agenda.
Yep.
Suffice.
Okay, thank you.
No bother.
I shut my mouth, John. Moving on to update from Public Works then.
The CISA roof has been completed. Cleanup process is happening right now. They got some ruts to fill in, going around the building with magnets and doing some cleanup there. The CISA HVAC has been awarded to Ahern. They're looking to start possibly the end of this month. If not after the school year in June for the CISA portion of it. The ATV intensive use park has been awarded to Stout Construction. The anticipated completion for that will be fall, November-ish, and that'll be with everything, the obstacles, parking lot, fencing around it, everything. The Clam Falls Dam Bridge construction is in progress. The detour signs are up. I found out Friday that the NAWCA, it's a federal grant. It's very promising that we will get that 250,000. And that'll be we'll have to get reimbursed for that when the project is done. So we'll be able to look at that. And there was a little bit of a hang up that they were concerned on, that the archaeological study hadn't been done, but it was through the Army Corps of Engineers. So that was all completed. So then I had raised the flag with Mo Friday and then they found out that they had all that, so then we were good to go. So there'll be just some reporting stuff and some, different paperwork on our end on how we gotta record all the spending and everything to get that reimbursement. The construction has begun at the recycling center. Whether they're getting all the footings in and getting the push walls up. That progress is moving on. We talked about the show barn roof and the grandstands. And then we also did the re-signing and the updating of posts on the Gandy. Most of that is completed. There's just a couple signs that need to go up yet, and then a couple trailhead signs that we have to order, some new ones. So other than that, all of that work has been completed. And the D.D. Kennedy restroom, the additional holding tank that didn't perk conventional anymore because of the rules from when the old restroom went in compared to when this new one went in. So we had to add another holding tank that should be going in and done this week or next week. And then we can reseed and get everything straightened out and fixed out there. So that'll be all done. And I'm waiting on the update for the D.D. Kennedy Bridge as well as Atlas Dam from Cedar Corps. That's all I got.
Sure, Mike.
Bet.
I know we talked about this before with, but there was I'm on the dam, but originally there was gonna be a bypass to the west, but it got with the bridge and everything, it got too complicated. I was just there last week, and all I'm asking is after the rains, they were gonna build the dam with the water. There's a lot of water goes through there, so.
Yeah, so now it's just gonna be a cofferdam. They're not gonna actually bypass that at all. On the west side, it'll be right in the actual structure now. So they'll build a cofferdam in there, dry that out, put everything in new there, and then shift.
And so it'll maintain where it is basically right now.
No, once they
I
start
meant
phase,
when you change it, but I meant right while they're constructing.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, when they start phase 2, they'll have to drop it approximately from where it was at its lowest before all the rain. They'll have to drop it another 2 or 3 feet from there. But we have to continue the flow through there through DNR guidelines and Army Corps of Engineers and everything.
Good.
It's kind of for you and Mo, but a county project on the fairgrounds. The concern I have is, should we be the ones, they tell us what they need? Should we be the ones doing all the spec and bid writing? You know what happens is that thing's been procrastinated now for 2 years. And, you know, if it's a county project, maybe we ought to just, if it's in the CIP, maybe we ought to just take it over. I mean, the company that they got the bid from there, I like the company. Elmo there, if you're a quarter of a mile from the tractor pull track and they're gonna start the tractor pull, you will know it. So I know they have good quality and they real clear amp, you know, of the voices, but it just seems that this process went way too long. Critical process. There has been 2 storm events now, you know, where they had to evacuate the grounds. So, I don't know how we can speed that up, but
In most cases, like the roof and that, we take the lead on getting the bids and everything for it in the process. This one's been ongoing between what's a sound system and what's an emergency broadcasting system.
yeah,
You know, so, there's been some changes in there, but I think getting the parameters out there, then doing the RFP. Being that it's a public works project, over 25,000, we'll need to go for RFPs with it and put it online. So that's where the original legwork of getting what they see what their needs are and put it up online.
yeah, I mean, in their meetings, they had a lot of conversations about tying this whole thing into the barns and burying cables all over the place and I encouraged them to keep the warning system separate. You know, and I think that's where we finally are, but, well, they get you the information, we should be able to roll with it now, but I doubt we'll make it this year.
So, depending on how fast we get the bids turned around, it should go pretty well.
Okay, thanks. Any more questions for Public Works? Not, we move on to Highway.
Highway's been busy. We're gearing up for the construction season. Shortly, day after the last Public Works meeting, I believe we opened bids. I wasn't at that meeting. Our operations manager, Justin, was here. Saw some good news on our bids when we opened them up. Asphalt prices dropped for the first time I can recall in looking at prices over the years. $1.50 to $2 a ton, depending on the project and the product, but that was good to see. Our road oils for our spray patching and chip sealing and stuff like that decreased slightly from last year. And our pulverizing and milling costs for our vendors decreased slightly. So that helped out. Crew is currently just finished replacing a couple culverts on Double C down by the St. Croix County line in preparation for the pulverize and paving job that's coming up shortly. We had to get an old pipe replaced quickly. State crews are breaking down their trucks, getting their summer setup done. Spray patching's been going steady in between the rain. We spent a little time this year and did some extra work on that spray patch truck. It's been problematic over the years with its reliability. We worked with St. Croix County to make some improvements on that truck to mirror what they're running on their trucks, and it's really been running well. We've had just consistent day after day production out of that truck now, other than some minor maintenance. It's been promising, and we've got a crew member that's really taken ownership of it, Kanan. He's making it his own and really doing a great job with it. So seen some better product come out of there than I've seen in years. Construction projects, the info is available on the highway website, the tentative schedule for the summer. If you want me to go through all the dates, I can. Otherwise, it's available on the website. Do you want me to run down the list of paving projects and stuff?
I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah. Starting next week on Double C will be the kickoff of our pulverizing. And then throughout the summer into August, we'll be doing milling and overlaying, paving, stuff like chip sealing in July. The full schedule is up on the website. Upcoming training, May 22nd, our annual MSHA refresher in Menominee, the entire crew, except for the few new guys that went to Burnett County for the 24-hour class. Down to Menominee, those guys will be staying back to work on one of the projects. Tomorrow, we've got interviews for our open highway maintenance worker position. We have 4 candidates. So hopefully we can pull a good team member out of that interview group and get them on board and ready to go for summer. So I got a couple emails here yesterday, I believe, on some of our surface transportation project money. I know Mo, you saw those too. Just for an update, our County Road E and County Road T projects have been approved. I'm waiting for the state municipal agreement to come through on those. So County Road E, up there from Lewis towards Indian Creek. So from 35 down to County Road I, the EIO intersection, I believe, is the termination. And then County Road T from US Highway to Silver Lake Road. That's 2027 proposed construction on this. I see in our CIP sheet, it's 2028 on there. So we might have to shift that around, but so that was good to see those come through. All I've got.
Questions for the commissioner? I just have a comment. This morning we had our Wisconsin County Highway Association Board of Directors meeting. The gal from the southeast area there was talking about an incident they had where driver fell asleep at the wheel, came through a construction site at high speed. 8 people had to bail altogether. 2 One was seriously injured and still out of work. One was slightly injured and handed in his resignation the same day. Said he's not going back out there and work, so they were talking on there about trying to get some state aid help to combat cell phone drivers, type people, so it's still happening out there.
Who was the driver of what?
Apparently the driver came into a construction site asleep at the wheel.
Oh,
It was a high-speed incident where I suppose it was on one of the freeways down there. And 8 people had to evade getting hit, 2 of which got hit, so
with the tire or wheel?
with the vehicle, from what I
Vehicle
understand.
itself.
So there was a big push in the meeting there about trying to get some legislation going to
More safety.
combat these drivers that aren't paying attention anyway.
And unfortunately, that's not the only one.
There's lots of them.
Well, anything to improve safety is gonna be helpful.
Yeah. Love the rumble strips, by the way.
Yeah.
That they would have took care of that incident probably.
Yeah, probably.
Probably would have woke that guy up, so.
Yeah, they are effective.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
keep
sure.
using them.
Sure worked for me.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I got a
Yep.
couple comments.
go ahead.
On the 26th of April, I attended the Northwest District 5 conference. Dr. Mold was there up at Hayward. It wasn't specific to the highway, but there was quite a bit of highway talk, and I think we got some good information. And last Friday, I met with the Wisconsin survey crew at Quick Trip in Osceola, and we talked about some things. They were a company that they evaluate every county trunk and every state trunk road in the state of Wisconsin, and they turn in their information to the DOT. And I particularly had them look at Highway 35 from Osceola to the Polk County line. That's not scheduled to do any work till 2030. And the traffic comes across from Minnesota and it takes that road south. And if there would have been some code put on there several years ago, I think we'd have saved that road for about 10 years. Because that section there coming from, when you're in Osceola, you'll see the cars and I think certain bureaus can attest to that. They're lined up from the bridge a lot of times to the stop sign and clear on the other side of the stop sign on Main Street there. And there's chunks breaking up there. Oh, I'd say big chunks are coming out of there now. I think it's too far gone for seal coating. And so I had to make a particular note of that stretch of road, and then the road from Luck to Frederick. I think that's about as bad as the road can get. So just a little extra ear to the DOT, and I think they made some extra notes of them 2 sections. So I was glad I had a chance to meet with them and put some word in from Polk County. On this District 11 meeting that we had up there, now St. Croix County is in a different district there with all the counties down south. And so we're the farthest one south, and then we go way up. And all 11 counties were represented. That was a nice part. So just had a little update.
Mr. Chairman, can I add one thing on I forgot to mention?
You bet.
Summer road school's coming up, and I know the information was emailed out. So June 3rd through the 5th is the summer road school down at Chula Vista again. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to register for that yet, or,
I'm registered.
What's the date?
it's June 3rd through the 5th at the Chula Vista down in the Dells.
And if you're going, make sure you bring your, what do they call that?
Suitcase.
Yeah, you get a copy from them, your verification, okay?
Registration information and
Verification that your room is there. For 3 days or 2 days or whatever it takes. Okay, then we're at Sheriff Walk's update.
Well, the sheriff is at a sheriff's convention today, so he's out of town. For us, first of all, our dispatch remodel project, Rod's guys have been really busy over there. All the walls are framed up. We're waiting for a plumber to show up. Electricians are finishing up. And then the sheet rocker will be in. So things are moving on there quite nicely. They have a ship date for the new furniture on June 11th. So hopefully still trying our hardest to get it done by June 30th where the grant closes. They did open up a supplemental grant fund again. So we're looking at that to see if there's any additional funds that may be available to us to cover some of our costs. Command posts, they told me they should be done with the new one in about 2 weeks. It's a custom fire getting outfitted. The old one is currently online for sale on the Wisconsin surplus auction. I believe the current bid is like $3,250. So it's pretty low yet, but there's a couple of counties that were interested and hopefully they come up next week or this week to look at it. Melissa Alexander, the jail lieutenant, put in for a COPS grant. It's for officer wellness. It's a federal grant for, I think the max was 200,000 on it. She put in it for some different variety of things for officer wellness, for the jail and patrol. So we're hopeful we'll get that. Not a lot of places put in for this one, so it's looking pretty promising. We have 2 employees graduating from the police academy down in Eau Claire in 2 weeks. And we just had 1 jailer finish a recruit academy over in Stevens Point. It's really hard to get people into the jail academy because there's so few academies. So we've been working this last year. We're hoping to host our first one here in October. So we'll do an in-house academy with Northwoods. Northwoods is providing a ton of equipment for us and helping us out with it. So it should save us a lot of money. There shouldn't be any travel costs, things of that nature. So and that's about all I have.
Any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to the administrator's report.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Sales tax for April was up, but only 0.1%, so $1,000 over 2023. But still in the positive, not by a lot. The projects, Josh talked about those 2 STP projects. The funding for those total about $4.4 million scheduled for 2027. So that means with an 80-20 split in 2027, our share is going to be $880,000. So that's coming down the pike. Just before I came down here, we were awarded 2 bridge projects also, rural bridges. 153rd on Teardrop there. That one is a town bridge in Apple River. That one should be 100% funded, both design and construction. And then that one is around, I want to say that one's 700,000. And then we got the Clam Falls Bridge in front of the dam that got funded also. And that's about $2.3 million or $1.3 million, that bridge. So, and that'll be an 80-20 split also on the county bridge. So that's good news. You know, we've got a lot of program using all the resources we can to get those infrastructure fixed. That's really all I have for my report at the time. Talk budget later on.
Can I ask him a question?
You go right ahead.
I know it's not a county project. It's in our area and that town of Osceola Bridge down there. Is there ever any finalization on that?
They're still working through the plans.
Culvert is just what it is, isn't it? Or
What's that?
isn't it just culverts?
Which bridge are you talking?
It's not a bridge, actually, that culvert that's out on on the other side of Horse Creek there, town of Osceola.
I don't,
Oh,
are you involved?
emergency bridge aid project. What was your question on it?
Well, it's been closed for, I don't know, 3-4 months and
Yeah. We had to
everybody,
wait for special order pipes to be built by the vendor and sent to us because it was a non-standard size.
got
pipe.
any idea when that's gonna be in place?
As soon as we receive the pipe, I think the pipe's supposed to be here in a couple weeks. But depending on our schedule and where we're at, it could be delayed a little further.
A long time project.
Well, that's the thing with the emergency bridge funding. The rules for that are they have to have a road closure for that emergency bridge aid. Otherwise, it would fall under our normal bridge aid process where they'd apply for it. We'd do the estimates and get everything approved, and then it would be constructed or installed the following year. But they wanted to push for the emergency bridge aid on that one. So nothing was ordered ahead of time and we held and did the bids for that pipe with our RFPs. But that pipe had to be built, so it wasn't something that was just able to be thrown on a truck and sent up this way.
Thanks for the update.
Okay. Mr. Rowdy.
Yes, today the dialogue mainly followed signage. Council has most of the signs in from Burnett County line down to Frederick. And when I say most of them, it just they're trying to tie together with Rod the last few signs that they either didn't have or he needs to check to make sure if it needs to be there or doesn't have to be there. We talked about other signs on the cattail and down towards St. And so that's mainly what they're putting together with Rod the county is signs and what he has and what he doesn't have. So they're working for that. Then just an interesting thing was out in the town of Sterling, with the Sterling Loop, they're having, maybe Steve's heard some of this, but they're having some problems with damage on the town roads because they're going off. The loop crosses the town roads in quite a few places. And I suppose it could be the kids are going off and spinning donuts, tearing up the town roads. And the discussion was to Rod, maybe try and get the rec officer out there on the weekends to see if he could deal with some of this.
Educate them.
Yeah. That's about all I have for today.
They can legally run on the road though, right?
They can legally run on the road.
It's just the way they're acting on there.
Yeah.
That's been forever.
Yeah. Well, you've got car drivers doing the same thing.
What they're saying is they're bringing in more traffic to, cause more problems off the trail probably, huh?
Yeah, I guess.
I was gonna have that problem, man.
Yeah.
Burnett County is inundated with it.
Yeah.
More sand roads.
What's the update on the 40-acre recreational site or whatever you want to call it?
That's the ATV intensive use area.
Yeah.
That's the one that Stout got the bid for, and all the fencing and everything should be, obstacles, everything should be done by this fall. With the parking lot.
Is it, the bid come in or?
Yep, it was awarded to Stout
Okay,
Construction.
all right. I wasn't here, so I missed that. Okay.
And the only other update is we got an email from Judge Flack's assistant that he'll have his decision finalized by the end of next week.
One thing Rob did tell us today was they're talking about putting up this fencing. At the opposite side, they're gonna put in a gate and an opening so that you can ride from the loop into the intensive care. There's intensive use.
Hopefully not intensive care, but
Yeah, I know.
we'll get to that later.
Used to that.
Now,
Okay, any questions at all for him? That leaves us with CJCC update.
First time offender for April, we didn't have anyone. We have a couple of people that we're waiting to hear back from that should be starting the in-person class that starts the end of this month. And with that class, they will also be getting a jail tour. IDIP, the Intoxicated Driver Intervention Program, we did not have anyone. We've been meeting with the judges and now need to meet with the DA's office to see how we can change the way that program is running, so we have more people taking part of that. Substance diversion, we had 4 participants in April, 1 graduation, 1 new referral. Treatment court, we had 14. We do have 2 in process of termination. And we did have 1 graduate and 4 referrals that are in process for that. We're hiring a case manager. That position closes tomorrow night at 11:59 p.m. And we do have so far 9 applicants for that. So that looks promising. And we should be having our next treatment court graduation in June. It will either be June 7th or 14th, depending on Judge Tolan's schedule right now. And then we do have the pretrial conference in the national conference in September. And so myself, potential new case manager, a representative from the district attorney's office, and a judge will be attending that as well.
Do you have a date for the jail tour?
I believe that's going to be May 29th.
May 29th?
Yeah, so going forward, anyone that takes that first time offender class will have a tour of the jail.
How many graduates are you gonna have in that June graduation?
Just 1.
Just one?
Yep, and then I think we have 2 scheduled the beginning of August, 1 or 2 in September. So if everything keeps going well for these participants, we'll have some study.
Thank you, thank you. I'll try and make that graduation.
Yeah, and I'll send out an announcement again when we know what day for sure we're gonna have.
Appreciate it.
Any questions for CJCC? Moving on to presentation regarding proposed 25 budget. Fun stuff.
There's your present.
Oh, there's always a present too with it.
There you go, the next slide. You. So today we're just going to take a look at what we're seeing for 2025. Here we sit in May. We'd like to get a budget passed in November. Takes about that long. So I think we did something like this last year at general government. I'm not sure we did it at public safety, public works. I can't remember. Just a couple of caveats before we get going. This is a pretty early view of what we're seeing. And the situations that are currently with us may change. So the implications for the budget that we're going to talk about today could change over time. Just some caveats. Situational aware analysis. So this is really 30,000 foot view, what's going on in the United States with the economy. Inflation is higher than we would like, but lower than it used to be. Running about 3.5%, up just a little bit, but for the month, but down from last year. So that's good. And the Fed's kept the borrowing rate at about 5.3%. Interestingly, that means we can borrow money and for cheaper than we can put it in the market. We can make money by borrowing money right now. They don't like us to do that. It's called arbitrage, but it's theoretically possible. In terms of the workforce, unemployment rate up just a little bit. Generally speaking, the job market seems to be softening a little bit. We're seeing
I think, more applicants than we've seen in a while. And folks seem to be enthusiastic about working for the county. That's great for us. Last year, you may remember there was some significant financial instability. We had some banks that were closing. Right now, the Fed seems to be mostly worried about commercial real estate risk. We don't, we're not particularly subject to that out here, but certainly the Twin Cities subject to that. Seems like discussion about the possibility of a recession is mixed. You hear soft landing, you hear hard landing, somewhere in the middle. I'm not particularly anticipating things being a lot different when we're in front of you in November than they are right now. I think that's the baseline on this slide. Just a couple of takeaways. Because of inflation, 2025 dollars are going to just buy less than they did in 2024. That's never any fun. I mentioned the labor economy seems like it's softening a little bit. Good news for employers. I mentioned the chance for recession. I think it's mixed. We'll go to the next slide unless there's questions. We're going to talk a little bit about revenues and expenses now. Mo mentioned sales tax. Last year we budgeted, well, for this year we budgeted 4.8 million. We're expecting more than 5 million, but not by a lot. We kind of think that sales tax is going to mirror inflation. If it's running about 3%, we might be able to add 150,000, 200,000 to our estimate from last year. Probably not a lot more than that, unless we see something change. We're going to model a bit more than 5 million in sales tax for the 2025 budget. Levy, we budgeted 2.31 million in 24. Net new construction will probably get us a couple hundred extra thousand. So not a lot more, 2.34 million, something like that, budgeted for levy. Relatively flat. Right now, we're not modeling bringing any money in from the general fund to support operations. We'll talk about capital in a bit. And we will be previewing tomorrow with our consultants, revising the debt model that the county's been looking at for about 10 years. It's been updated and it looks like we'll have borrowing capacity to keep our debt payment the same. We'll have borrowing capacity about $1.92 million for 2025. So that money, if the board agreed that that was a good idea, we would use that to fund some capital projects that might be interesting to people in this room. So Mo and Rod and others can talk to you about specifics on that as time goes on. But this would be a mechanism for us to do some of these capital projects and be able to borrow some money.
And that's a big one this year, is keeping our levy flat, keeping our levy steady so we don't have big drops or big increases in our levy for our residents. And one of those projects is County Road B. That was the VAL project. Our shares a little over 800,000 on that one. But that's work that we can't do in-house with our own projects. So it's a good one to budget bond for, pay our share. And that also we can help bond and cover a little bit of the cost also of some other projects with that. So it's very important this year to look at that. PMA will be presenting at general government tomorrow. If you're interested to be online and watch the presentation to show where the debt service goes. But that's going to be one of our good levers this year to maintain our.
So the next slide, talk about some takeaways. I mentioned sales tax. We think it's going to be roughly proportional to inflation. If you think about it, our levy increase was just a couple $100,000 on 23 million. The levy increase is a lot less than inflation. I mentioned we're not currently projecting pulling any money from the general fund for operations, and that idea of borrowing money to support some projects. So let's talk about expense a little bit. That was the fun part. You laughed. Right now, I don't know if anybody watched the Kentucky Derby photo finish. I couldn't have predicted it. People are already predicting what the Social Security Administration will do in terms of cost of living increase. That doesn't happen until November, right around budget time. And they're saying it's going to be about 2.6%. So some of our initial modeling on our side for wages is gonna use a number pretty close to that. We do know that's the wages, so we do know one thing, cost of our benefits is gonna be up this year a fair amount for departments and for individuals. Certainly not less than 10%, maybe as much as 15% increase in benefit costs. So that means we get some budget pressure this is the not fun part of the presentation. We're gonna be feeling some budget pressure from the cost of those benefits, with healthcare being the biggie there. So those are operations having to do with people. Now we're gonna talk about non-employee operating expense. Right now, we're asking our departments to get by with a 0% increase. If you'll recall, a minute ago, I said an inflationary economy, the same amount of money buys you less. So it's basically a decrease in what they can buy. So we're asking them to think about how they can manage expense. I like to think about managing the expense of paper versus child placements. So if we have to do child placements, those are mandated. There's no way out. We can think about ways to do them differently. We don't have a lot of options. So those are tough costs to control. If the price of paper goes up, we can print on two sides. We can decide not to use color. We can just print less. So we're asking our managers under most direction to think really hard about what expenses are controllable and which ones aren't. And ones that aren't controllable, so take the child placement, we need to look for trends. Are we in a one-shot deal with child placements, or is this something we're going to see, we can expect to do in 25, 26? We're asking managers to think that way, project out a little bit forward. Right now, we've got a roster of capital projects. Mo was mentioning some highway. We've got some building projects too. We think are coming in about $1.5 to $2 million. So that's what we've got in terms of expenses so far. Any questions about that?
Just what building projects and that?
The biggest one is the HVAC at the Justice Center. It's 20 years old.
That's probably our biggest one right now. It's on our schedule for the next 5 years is that one.
Yeah.
Then the next ones would be the roof on the other end of the building here, and then Endeavor's roof as well. We've been done with roofs for quite a while.
Just a couple of takeaways in terms of expenses. We're sure our per employee cost is going to be higher in 25 than it is in 24. We've got a lot of pressure for operational expenses that don't have anything to do with employees. And as we've talked about before, we're going to be looking at alternatives to the general fund for affording capital projects, including borrowing and bonding. So that's what I got for you today. Any questions? Right. Thank you.
It's a heck out of prize, 5% per year every year he's here.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna find that? So, it's hard to find zero. Oh. Yep. Mo, what year was B backed up to, right? 25?
25.
Okay. See a bunch of hands raised. Let's see, we need to look at our work plan.
Glad to fair to that. So it's noted on there each time.
Yeah.
And then we'll add some more budget stuff periodically through here as we start talking more about the budget and the CIP schedule and what's coming down, how the CIP plans are looking, and what's going to be our strategy for moving forward on trying to budget and plan for the capital projects, both on the public works side and the highway side.
You gotten any concrete bids on a grandstand at all on what the price of aluminum?
No, right now, we're not settled. Some of the preliminary ones were, a little over $1 million. Just for the structure.
Is that project, any possibility this summer, next year?
No, it'll be a next year project.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. For the work plan, could we switch the dispatch review with the jail tour around? The dispatch center won't be completed in July. See it, or in June, so July it should be completed.
Okay, so June, we got review of dispatch 911 in Wisconsin.
Want to change that?
You want to move that to July?
Please,
Do the jail tour at the same time.
yeah, we could do both at the same time.
Yeah. And you think it'd be ready in July?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And you'll add fair to the standing items on the bottom.
Yes.
It might be a little overkill, but I think every month there should be something we should talk about there. And not that they have to be here every month, but I just want to make sure we're open and out in the air about everything about it.
Well, the fair really affects every district that we have in the county with the 4-H. Well, I think that's a good idea to just have it on the agenda. Appreciate that. Clam
Just
Fall's
one-
gonna be on the work plan next month.
And Paul's,
Damn update.
oh yeah, he'll update it. That'll be on there every meeting until we get
So there's.
one thing left then.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Glad to have you back, Chairman.